Hey everybody, I'm Crystal. I am excited to join you. I think Diane said I was supposed to say, may I have your attention please, to get started here. We just loved watching you guys chat as we got ready here behind the scenes. So we are excited to introduce our newest topic here. We're going to be going through the ebook publishing session here tonight, and we're just pumped to share some really exciting stuff with you. So Dan is definitely the expert here. So we want to make sure that you get all kinds of great wisdom and feedback from him. So we're going to just jump in here, and I'm going to just let you know that during the entire session, anytime you want to ask a question in the chat, I will be heading over there while Dan's sharing all the goodness out of his brain. So if you've got questions, definitely ask them. If we can't get to them during the specific topic that Dan's talking about, we will totally catch you at the end, or if not, we will hop over onto the Facebook page then afterwards, maybe later in the week, and we'll just keep answering those questions. So don't be afraid. There's no silly question. I am brand new to this, so I'm going to have a bunch of questions that I'm going to probably send him later in the email to be like, dude, help, I don't know what I'm doing. But that's why Dan is here. So let's just get started, and I'm going to switch it over, and Dan can tell us a little bit about why he's qualified to talk about publishing, ebook publishing, the whole thing, and share a little bit of his story with us.
Awesome, thanks. I forgot to grab something. Cool. Yeah, and just to echo what Crystal said, thank you again, everybody, for being here. These sessions have been really exciting, I know, for both of us so far, and I always have a lot of fun doing these. You guys are fantastic, great crowd. I love being a resource for you folks and helping you kind of learn and discover new things and stuff, and seeing that stuff kind of come into action on your own blogs and with your email subscribers, and hopefully tonight, after this, with some of your publishing goals and stuff like that. It's really, really exciting for me. So I love that. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I think as far as why I'm qualified to even talk about this stuff, I want to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background about who I am and kind of where I've come from with some of my experience and stuff. I'll probably help kind of connect a few pieces for you guys. But really, it starts to even before I was a blogger. For 13 years before kind of going full time with Fist Bump Media stuff, just about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I worked in the corporate environment for a very, very large telecommunications company, developing training. Developing e-learning content. So I have a very strong training background, training development background, and especially working with, like I said, the e-learning niche, doing a lot of electronic development, electronic content stuff, which is kind of why I love doing these kinds of things too, because it really kind of fits into that kind of experience and background that I have. But with that, I've been exposed to a lot of different technology, a lot of different ways to deliver content to people. And be able to put that together and go through an entire, what we call the ADDIE process, ADDIE. For anybody who's familiar with the training development stuff, you may be familiar with this, but A for analysis, D for the first D for design, the second D for development. I for implementation, and E for evaluation. Kind of the process we go through for developing a training project. Very much exactly the same process we go through when I'm doing like an ebook development type project. But since my blogging, a couple of years ago, about 2 years, a little over 2 years ago, I self-published my first book called The Unlikely Missionary, From Pure to Poverty Fighter. One thing that's interesting about that book as well is that even as I was getting ready to launch it and hit my launch date and get it out there, a small startup publisher saw an early draft copy of it and even offered me a contract to publish it for me. And I actually turned it down because of how I wanted to leverage that book to continue to grow my audience and my platform. And we'll get into some of those points in a little bit as well in a few minutes. But the plan worked, and just earlier this summer, too, I was able to have a traditionally published book as well called Activist Faith, From Him and For Him, that I co-wrote with two other guys, but was published by NowPress just 2 months ago. And So I've been through a lot of the process. I've been traditionally published. I've been self-published. I know a lot of the strengths and weaknesses of both, and how you can even leverage one to get you to the other, kind of thing. So that's what the kind of experience that I try to pull from, not only from a development perspective for projects like this too, but just going through the process of being a writer and getting my content out there in front of people through a few different publishing platforms. Cool.
Yeah, you definitely bring the experience to the table, man. That's awesome. And I love that you started with, a self-published book and then went into traditional publishing. And I'm really excited later to hear your story about how that built your platform. So I know we're going to get to that, and I can't wait to hear all about that. And some of you mentioned in the chat, I'm sick, so I apologize. I'm going to mute myself just so you don't have to hear me like sneezing or anything gross. So I don't normally sound as much like a dude, I promise. It's just kind of awkward right now. But we're going to keep pushing forward, so it's all good. We're excited. I'm excited to be here. All right, so I'm really just totally new to this, Dan. So where do we start? Where do we even hit the ground running? How do you come up with an idea? And, I mean, you know me. I'm an idea person. How do I know it's a good one? I mean, I have a lot of ideas for books, but nobody might ever want to read it. So where do I go with that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. The perfect place to start with this too is, I mentioned that ADDIE process, and the first letter in that is the A. It's the for analysis. Before you dive into any big project like this, you really kind of need to know, what it is that's going to drive that. And while driving off of, feeling something you feel very strongly and passionate about is one thing. Even prayer for some of our faith-based audience out there. I know a large part of this is a faith-based audience. Those kinds of things definitely influence which you should be doing. But there's a key piece too from like an analytics perspective too that we should really take a look at and drive. One thing is when it comes to discovering the content that you've already got in your own blog somewhere. Look for series and things like that you've done, and look at traffic for those too. Because if you have some series of content or some themes, maybe it's a certain category of content on your blog, or tags that you use on your blog under a certain kind of theme or topic or something like that. Look at metrics for those posts and stuff too, and which ones are most popular. Because that'll kind of give you a good indication of some of the content that if you were to publish in a different kind of format that may be also more popular than some others that you may be very passionate about as well. One of the other things too, and I do this a lot when I work with others on different projects, and we'll kind of get into some of that a little bit later as well too, but is and how I can do that is even doing kind of keyword research. It's one thing to write an ebook on mothering or something like that, but to understand which keywords associated with mothering, might give you a little more boost with search engine traffic on both on Google and on Amazon and stuff, are going to be very key. So I do a lot of kind of keyword study analysis, and Google AdWords has a great keyword planner and stuff too that I like to dig in and play a lot with. To kind of hash out some of those ideas. So there are a few things. So one is that looking for the popular content and looking for opportunities when it comes to doing keyword research, like I might do if I'm building a website even. I want to do that same kind of keyword research when I'm thinking about an ebook project or something like that. Those are the big places to start right there. I think you said too, Crystal, we were chatting beforehand as well, talking about people who might be doing 31 days of whatever coming up pretty soon, right? In October?
Yeah, the Nestor runs a series called 31 Days on her blog and invites people to blog for 31 days straight. So you pick a topic that's interesting enough that you want to write on it for 31 days, but broad enough you can write on it for 31 days. So, you're not going to write about, like, 31 days of amazing hairstyles when you have a faux hawk. You get one day. I'm sorry. That's not going to go for 31 days. So, it's a great way to just get words down. If you want to have an idea for an ebook and you want to just start somewhere, I'm doing it. I think it's going to really help me maybe even come up with at least a table of contents or something, based on traffic. So
Yeah, and those are great places to look at for ideas for ebook type content. And the thing is you could write for 31 days on a subject like that, and you could end up using every single blog post and kind of convert that and translate that into an ebook later on. Or you can say, this one was not so good. This one was really great. Kind of mix and match, and even maybe add some new content after you've had a chance to go back after the 31 days is over. Maybe you have some new kind of findings and feelings about the topic that you're writing about. So that's a great way too. I also know coming up in November, NaNoWriMo, right? National Novel Writing Month or something like that, where people sit down and write, was it 60, 70,000 words or something like that in the month of November to actually write a novel. So if you've got something like that's kind of on your heart to kind of get a story out that way, those are great opportunities, great places to look. Find a way to, what's next? How do I get that story out? Now I've written that novel. You could shop it around with publishers or something like that too, or you could also use that same content and then really leverage maybe some self-published content as well too.
Yeah, very cool. I think that the best part about maybe starting with those communities too is that you have some accountability. There's a whole group of other people who are jumping in there and being brave and just writing, So, you've got some friends, which is definitely helpful whenever you try to do something like this big project.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we figured out how to find a topic. So what are the right formats to deliver the content? Let's talk a little bit about the format, what you recommend there.
Sure, yeah, and really, when it comes to format, the big thing there is it's going to start with your goals. What do you want to try to accomplish with what it is that you're writing? I talked about The Unlikely Missionary, and one of the reasons I wanted to self-publish that is one of the big reasons because I wanted to have the access to everything that I needed in order to really grow my platform. So it wasn't just about getting a book out and getting a story out there. But part of it was about continuing to grow my platform as a writer. For some of the people who may have been around some of the email stuff, we talk a lot about giving away a free PDF download of a book or an ebook or something like that to help kind of grow your subscriber base. And give you an idea, BibleDude.net, I was adding about 10 new email subscribers per month for a while before I published The Unlikely Missionary. About a month or two after I actually published it and got it out there sold, I started offering a free PDF download of that, and I did so through a few other channels. I'll talk about some of that in a little bit as well too, about kind of digging in and pushing out some different marketing opportunities for your book. But through a lot of those combined channels, for the next year I added right about 80 to 100 on average new email subscribers per month to the blog. So I was able to really leverage it to grow my platform, and having a big email subscriber list like that in the end is one of the things that actually helped me land a book deal with a traditional publisher. It's one of the things a lot of them will look at. So there's some cool things you can do, but it really kind of gets back to your goals because you can really push a PDF copy, or you can convert to Kindle format or other ebook formats to get out there and develop and going a Kindle route too is great for developing a kind of a track record with sales. If you think you can promote it enough to generate enough sales for it to get noticed and maybe kind of get to the top of a bestseller list, even if it's in a small niche or something like that. Those are big things that really then start to look pretty good to publishers as well. So really, depending on what your goals are, you're really going to kind of drive which formats are going to be best. But I will say this too, as far as ebook formats are concerned, I know not everybody has the same exact experience as me, but I've really kind of gone to really focusing on two platforms for everything that I do. The PDF copy, if I'm going to offer free download of some kind, and then as far as ebook, on a device kind of thing, I've really focused a lot on a Kindle-only platform for that, and a few reasons that really drive that, but one of them is sales. I've put the books like The Unlikely Missionary out there on several platforms and promoted across platforms, Nook, everything else, and Kindle has consistently outsold all other platforms combined by at least 20 to 1. And there's some advantages then too if you were to go Kindle only, where you can enroll it in like a KDP Select program and offer free download promos and stuff like that too. So we'll talk about the impact of that stuff in a minute as well. But you can do special things like that. Get in our lending library so people can kind of borrow the book. You still get paid as an author, but they're kind of technically not paying because it's part of their Amazon Prime membership. So there's some advantages as well to kind of boost sales and revenues if you go Kindle only, just because it's going to blow away all the others anyway. So, good question.
Yeah, that is. I love that advice, and I didn't realize that about the stats with the different ebook platforms, because I feel like I just would have assumed I had to do everything. I had to do a PDF, and I had to make it good for Kindle, and I had to make it all things for all e-readers. And I love that you don't have to do that. That takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Because let's just talk for a minute about. Go ahead. No, go.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, when it comes to a lot of other platforms and stuff too, I think of iPad. One of the other big ones that people would focus a lot on is getting in the iTunes store, and that can obviously drive some sales. But I mean, everybody's got a Kindle app, free Kindle app on their iPad stuff too. So you're not really losing anything, by you're not losing devices basically by focusing on one platform like that over another.
Yeah, and I really like reading PDFs on my iPad too, so I mean that's great you have that ability to do both. So you really aren't losing anything there. And here's my question, because I think this is where I get really stressed out thinking about that next step. I can figure out probably how to get enough content together to write an ebook, because that doesn't seem. I mean, I've been blogging since 2009. I've got the words out there. I just have to actually pay attention to it. But tell me a little bit about how do you format your manuscript then? So you've gotten your book, you figured out what platform you want it to be on. It seems very technical and complicated, then format it so it's actually an ebook and not just a bunch of blog pages stuck together. So I know that you've done this before a couple different times, different ways. What are your best tips on formatting your manuscript?
Good question. Yeah, and I run into people all the time who talk about it's like, oh, I need to write the whole thing in InDesign and this and that, and a lot of other things. And really, the biggest piece to it is a Word document, and when I talk about a Word document too, usually if you're copying stuff over that might have been published on your blog or whatever before, copy and paste that, put that into a Word document. The Word document is going to be the one place where you can create the full manuscript, beginning to end, sort through stuff, do formatting or whatever. But really, I try to think when I think Word document too, I try to think a very clean Word document. Try to remove as much other font, typeface, formatting, things like that stuff as possible, and just keep it really kind of stripped down, kind of core, clean, kind of Word document. Some of the things that you will probably use in a Word document or some of the standard like header tags and just basic formatting stuff like that too as well, because the header tags help with things like creating your table of contents. It'll pull headers from the document, stuff like that as well too. So if you have a new chapter 1, Dan's awesome new book, I'll put that in like a header 1 tag, and that becomes an item in my table of contents and stuff. The Kindle formats and stuff like that too play really well with with those table of contents. When they're set up and started the right way. But in a lot of cases, it may not even be necessary to even really try to convert it to some other format. And that depends on a few factors and stuff. There's some things, depending on how much multimedia and images and things like that you have built into the document. A lot of times you can take just a straight Word document, upload that directly to Amazon Kindle, and everything works out great, works out fine. So, but again, it depends on a few things. There may not be necessarily a big need to convert it to other things. When it comes to a PDF document, if you get everything designed right there as well too, Word saves directly to PDF, so that'll create your PDF for you automatically. So that's it. Start with clean document. Use just the basic header type tags and tools like that. And I'll mention this too, when it comes to adding images, if you want to add images into your document, insert your images using the insert image function. So you're actually inserting an image file onto the page rather than kind of right-click and copy and paste it from your blog or something like that. That'll be a lot cleaner too from a format perspective and easier to translate into other pieces. So when I work with folks too, where I'm taking their manuscript, those are some of the things that I look for and ended up finding myself having to work a lot on. Having to reinsert images and stuff, save them as a file and load them in, that kind of thing. So a lot of it's just Word. Word's the best place.
That's awesome because I know how to use Word. You're making this so easy for me, Dan. I love it. All right. So I think, okay, somebody did have a question that I'll pop in here.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Let's see. There's a question in here about Diane said she started using, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to say the name of this. Scrivener? I'm guessing it's an ebook. that could have come out wrong. She's wondering if she should transfer everything to Word. I don't know if you have if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with Scrivener stuff, but I do know that Word is going to be probably the easiest place to do everything that you need to do with it. So what it would take to transfer that content from Scrivener into Word, I'm not sure of that process. And Diane, we know each other. We can kind of check that one out offline and stuff like that as well too. But yeah, I would definitely say Word's going to be the easiest, best place to go with it. So if you want to do your work, do it in Word. If you got it in other places and stuff, maybe get it into Word. It might be good. And I'll throw this out there as well too. There are some of the tools and stuff that you can use to create things like EPUB formats and stuff like that. And a lot of those are great if you want to give somebody a free download of of a version that they can put on their Kindle device or something like that directly. But not really necessary, in a lot of cases too. When I think of free download stuff, I'm usually thinking PDF copy. So that's one thing I kind of keep in mind as well too. So you may not necessarily have to worry about a lot of other kind of ebook conversion type tools. If it is a bigger kind of format like that, then there are some easy ways to take what you've done in Word and then kind of convert that to what you need. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I'm definitely not the only fan of Word. Everybody was kind of pumped about that. So, excuse me.
Yeah,
right.
And I will say too, because I'm scanning over a chat as well too. Kimberly Edwards is talking about Google Docs works like Word, and I'll say this too as well. The Unlikely Missionary was completely typed out on Google Docs until I got to the editing phase, and I sent my editor a Word document. But I was able to take my Google Docs, download a Word document file for that, and send that over to my editor for editing and stuff. So yeah, Google Docs does work and stuff too. But once you get into some of the later phases, beyond just the initial typing or capturing of your core manuscript, moving to editing and stuff, Word is going to be a lot more friendlier for some of those later pieces, especially getting into like an editing phase and stuff with folks. So.
Although I do have to say, as somebody that does edit ebooks for people, I actually really like when you send it to me as a Google Doc because it has a really great comments feature. And so if I am not making the changes for you and having to track changes, and I'm just making comments,
right.
I'm a big fan of Google Docs. So I go either way. I think it's cool. So we've got lots of great, easy tools that you guys already have on your computers. See, you didn't even know how far ahead of the game you were. Look at this. You already wrote an ebook. You didn't even know. All it takes is Word. Boom, right there. Okay. All right. So we've got our great idea. We've gotten it out into Word or Google Docs, whatever floats your boat. And now we are ready to start thinking about the launch. We've got to get people excited. We've got to get it out there. We've got to start building the platform. So where do you start with your launch plan?
Yeah, the big thing is I think think you start thinking about launch the second you've decided to actually produce some kind of ebook or tool like that. And the big thing here is I think it's important to think team. Launching any kind of book for that matter, self-published ebook or whatever. It's going to be important to have other people who can help rally around it and stuff. And that's one of the big things too. Especially going through my recent book launch with Activist Faith. We have some more traditional PR and stuff like that that's happening with that one as well too. One of the big things that I've really been focusing on is the niche that I know really well. It's the social media side stuff. But I mean, it's like any social media project. You have a big project that you're that want to launch. You have a blog party and a link up or something like that. You need to get other people to help kind of spread the word about it and stuff. So that's one of the big things too, is to start thinking about some of the people who are close to you who can help kind of rally around this. Some of those people too, you can even get them and make them kind of part of an editorial team for you as well. Get them an early draft copy of it, have them checking it out, and providing feedback on what's working and what's not in it and stuff too. So you can kind of use that team to even work out some of the content. But that also helps get them kind of excited as well too about the project, because they got early in on this. They know what it's going to be about before anybody else does. So when it does come out, those are probably going to be your biggest fans and the ones who are most excited about it. So definitely get people involved early on. Find creative ways to get them going, and give them whatever incentives you can. And this is one of the things I see. A lot of people here are probably very familiar with Jeff Goins and some of the things he does. That dude doesn't launch anything without giving away 10 other things that he's done in the past. And he does that for a reason, because it's very effective. So if you have other incentives, and this might be something too, if this is your first ebook launch, you may not have a lot else to give away, but if you've done other ones in the past, give away previous copies and stuff too. In the launch of Activist Faith, is one of the things I was trying to give as many people as possible. Is, hey, if you don't already have it, let me give you a copy of The Unlikely Missionary too, just for helping out. And people appreciate that. People appreciate getting bonus for getting involved and being a part of a movement like that. And one thing I can't stress enough too throughout this process, and when it comes to thinking about other people, is guest blog, guest blog, guest blog as much as you possibly can. It's going to be important to get your message and your voice about this project out there in other places other than just your own blog, because that's really what's going to drive a big movement. If you can get people doing reviews on your book, that's fantastic. If you can get guest blog posts on other people's blogs, that's really fantastic too. And if you can get out on other sites, for some of the stuff that I've done, I've written a little bit like at churchleaders.com. For those who know me, I write very regularly over at thehighcalling.org and stuff. If you can get on other bigger sites and stuff too as well, that'll really kind of drive some traffic. And you'd be surprised how many sites are out there will be excited to run a guest post from somebody who's publishing some good content that's relevant and kind of fits their niche and stuff too. But yeah, definitely don't underestimate the power of guest blogging. It's just going to be huge.
Yeah, I've been part of a couple different launch teams for books, and it's really fun. I know that probably my favorite perk was somebody who sent me a Starbucks gift card in exchange for doing an early review of their book, and I was like, sure. So it was pretty cool. I'm all about that. I'm all about the coffee. So
I wish I could remember. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but there was a dude that I just learned about recently. Actually, very successful author. One of his big things was he did videos of himself dancing and stuff, for something crazy like that, for reviews on Amazon or something. And it just, it went crazy viral or something like that too. And he got a ton. Of course, it paid off big for him and everything. So yeah, you can get really creative too with some of the incentives that you give away for people helping you spread the word and get the word out about your books.
Yeah, I love that. I think George Takei did that, didn't George Takei was one that he was raising money for something, and if he got to a certain level, he did some kind of crazy happy dance thing, and it went viral. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to see me doing any dances for. You're welcome, by the way. I can't dance.
I'll do a crazy dance, you know, if enough people, but if enough people hire me.
I've seen the crazy dance. You guys may want to get on that. I don't know. All right. So, with me, it would be just watch Elaine dance on Seinfeld. You're good to go. Okay. So, I think guest blogging it goes along with this next thing that we want to talk about because it's a huge way to get your name out there in front of a bunch of readers who you wouldn't normally necessarily have on your own blog, which is a great way to grow your platform. And we've already talked a little bit about how great your ebook was at growing your platform. So give us some hints and tips and secrets on how to do that ourselves.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, and I know some of the people here too have been a part of some of the previous webinars where we've talked about email subscription stuff, and this is one of the big keys here too is really building it into your subscription process. I was in fact, I was just helping Emily Waringa with some of this recently as well too, and helping her get her Canvas Child ebook out there. And those really the big goal of it was that she wanted to offer just kind of a thank you to her subscribers. And we saw some really actually very massive growth and stuff like that too right away. For people downloading that ebook for free. Now it's also available on Kindle and stuff, but that wasn't really the kind of the big driver there. It was really kind of driving towards email subscription stuff. But really building it into your subscription process. But one of the things is if you have something you're going to throw out there and offer it to free to people who are subscribing to your blog as a free download. Don't forget about your existing subscribers. Even if you have 100, 200, whatever, however many email subscribers you have. Don't forget about them because those guys are loyal readers, and it's just great to offer an incentive for new people. But if you're going to give that sucker away, give it away to the ones who have been there already for you, because they'll appreciate that. And so like with Emily's, we made sure that we also sent out an email to everybody else on her list currently, and just said, hey, we just love you. We're giving this to new subscribers stuff right now too. We want to make sure you guys had it as well. And that generates some good buzz because, and I won't give away all the secrets and stuff too, because there's ways that you can even kind of share with those existing subscribers. And by the way, feel free to tell people you just got this because you're a subscriber to the blog. And it's kind of a soft way to kind of market yourself a little bit too, is to ask other people's help and continue to do that because if they've been existing subscribers for a while. They're probably pretty good fans of yours. They're probably really grateful that they just got something for free from you. They probably wouldn't mind dropping a tweet or a Facebook message or something like that too, letting other people know that they can get it for free because you love the stuff. So that's a big thing. One of the other things too is especially as you build it into your subscription process, a lot of people forget about is. They tend to think that the subscription process only has to happen on their blog. And it doesn't. You can drop tweets, Facebook posts, and stuff like that too all day long. Not all day long and get annoying and stuff, but really anytime, basically, just like you do to a blog post. You say, hey, by the way, just reminding folks that you can get my free ebook. If you subscribe to my blog and stuff, run tweets on that, run Facebook messages on that, build it into your cycle on a fairly regular basis. Again, not to the point where it's like super annoying or anything, but build it in so it's in there on a regular basis to make sure that message continues to get out there, that you have something to offer for that subscription. Also, another thing that a lot of people forget too is to use it in your profile when you're guest blogging. So if Crystal, if you released an awesome new ebook based on your 31 days of something really cool that you're blogging about in October, right? And you want to write a guest blog post at BibleDude.net about that, dude, I would love to have you. Let's put that in your bio. By the way, a great guest post from Crystal. Download a free copy of her ebook. Here at this link, and it's a link to subscribe to your blog. So build that into your bio and your profile that you use when you're guest blogging at other places and stuff, and you'd be surprised because that's kind of that call to action step there at the end of whatever blog post you're sharing is, by the way, if you like this, you can get more of it here. A lot of people tend to forget that too. So there's some great action stuff in there.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the marketing tips. And Dan and I have talked about this a little bit before about how not scary marketing is, and maybe it's because we're both marketers and we've both done the corporate marketing thing, but it really isn't as scary as it sounds. And I love the idea of just popping it in your bio. I mean, pop it in your email signature. I use YStamp in Gmail,
Yep.
which lets me link to the last blog post I wrote. It links me to all of my social media stuff. So if you get an email from me, you get my picture and all my cool links. Why not just throw it in there? It's subtle, but it's something I'd be proud of. So if you believe in it enough to spend time to write it, you definitely know that there's a market for it because you've thought about it. You've done the keyword research. You've done all the, looking into your post to see what drives, what content is driving your traffic. You've done the work. You know people want to read it. Tell them you have it. It's not that scary, I promise. So Dan and I will both hold your hand when you get to the marketing part of telling people about your ebook, and we will cheer you on and tell you it's not scary. We promise it will be okay. And now I'll get off my marketing soapbox. We had a big conversation about this, and I was like, I just have to tell them it's okay. They can be proud of what they just wrote. So.
Yeah, and even on that point too, if you put the work into producing a piece of content that you feel has a lot of value, it's obviously something you're probably very passionate about yourself. You should be proud of it, and that's a big thing too that I've been learning a lot recently as well too. I've kind of been like people ask me about my new book and they're like, "Oh, you must be so excited." I'm like, "No, it's no big deal," And I've heard this recently too that if you're not your biggest fan, nobody else will be. So there's nothing wrong about being proud of the work that you produce. For something that you're passionate about, something that you believe in. And that doesn't mean that you need to be knocking people over the head and hey, buy my book, but continue to be passionate about the message that you have to share, and that passion will continue to sell itself. I know people buy my books because of they know something that I'm passionate about, and it's something I speak very strongly about, and they feel it's something that they can kind of rally around and be passionate about as well too. So I don't have to ask people a lot of times, hey, go buy my book, but they do see the passion and stuff like that, and respond and react because of that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we've got one last question here before we jump into some of the other stuff we're going to talk about, and then I do have a couple questions we can hopefully cover at the end. But
sure.
I know we've talked about Kindle. We've talked a little bit about the different. You got Amazon Prime, and you've got all kinds of great, amazing tools through that for Kindle. What is Amazon's ecosystem? Like, just what is it? How do you build a platform with it? I know nothing about this, but I feel like it's a good thing. So tell me everything you know about it, Dan. Help a girl out. Come on.
Yeah, it's a great thing actually, and and I find myself finding new readers, not for myself even, but even for some others that I work with other authors and stuff. Seeing how even Amazon, people may discover Bible Dude through traditional methods, Google searches, social media stuff, whatever. But it's really great when I find people starting to find Bible Dude because they found my book on Amazon. So a big thing to think about too is how you can kind of leverage and build, and use things like Kindle and stuff to grow your audience, your platform. Quick story too about one of the other writers that I work with, a man named Alex Torrego, and he writes some kind of Downton Abbey kind of historical fiction, and he's also Catholic and writes a lot about his Catholic faith and biographies about he calls a handful of Catholics and stuff. And one thing that's really interesting about his work and what we've done there is, so if I look at the sales for all of his books that he's written, and he has about 10, 12 or so now. He's released a few this year and everything too, but had several already last year. Through all of last year, he maybe sold a couple dozen copies of all of his books combined. But we really started working kind of Amazon itself. And what's interesting about his work too is that he doesn't have a huge blog following, not a ton of traffic coming to his website. He doesn't have a massive Twitter following. He's got a Facebook page with a few hundred fans on it and stuff. He's pretty active in some Facebook groups and stuff, kind of around the topics and niches that he's involved with. But because of how we've been working the system in Amazon alone with his books, in the first 6 months of this year, we've sold over 2,000 copies of his books. So quite a big jump from 24 all of last year to 2,000 in the first 6 months. It's total distribution. But we've done that a lot by leveraging the power of free. When you self-publish stuff and you can roll it in that Amazon, KDP Select program, you're able to offer it for free. And one of the things we do right now too is we have Free Friday. Every Friday, you can download one of his books for free. Just no strings, no nothing. Get the Kindle version for free. And what that does is it really kind of helps build it into the system. Because Crystal, when you go out and you download a free ebook on Amazon Kindle, you buy it. Your purchase price is $0, but you bought the book. So what happens then is it becomes part of the customers who bought this also bought, and starts getting picked up and noticed, more throughout the Amazon ecosystem, basically. So there's some really cool things too when you start to offer free downloads. A lot of studies been done too over and over about the impact of putting free downloads out there and seeing more sales as a result. And this one guy is a perfect example of just a straight up case study on the power of that free stuff. And the other thing too is to publish more works and continue to interconnect them. Somebody told me too that somebody who's very successful in self-publishing, particularly with the ebooks and stuff, told me at one point that it wasn't until their 4th book that they got out there that they really started seeing some massive growth. So if you don't see New York Times bestseller numbers with your first ebook or anything like that, keep at it, stick at it. If you got a message to tell, something to share, continue to put them out there, because those things too over time will continue to grow. In Alex Trago's case, that's exactly one of the things that we see too. We try to offer free downloads of when he's launching a new one, offer it free at the same time as one of his old ones that's been pretty successful, because I want people to download both of those at the same time to leverage that customers who bought this also bought, so that when you look at the book page for one of them, what you see down on the bottom is more of his other books as well. That doesn't just happen because he wrote them, it happens because people downloaded them at the same time. So definitely kind of continue to publish more works and interconnect them to kind of leverage the growth of one's doing really well, that's going to help out the other ones.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I always kind of wondered how they got these, other people bought this, and Amazon is awesome at knowing things that I might like based on what I've bought before. So it's so smart, that Amazon. I don't know. It's crazy.
They know a little bit about what they're doing. Yeah.
They kind of have a handle on this thing. I don't know. They're kind of good at it. I think they should stick with it. Seems like their thing. All right. So somebody did ask a question that we haven't really talked about. You talked about inserting images into Word documents, but they were talking about how to find that fantastic cover image for your ebook. And so I thought maybe you might have an idea about that, and I thought that maybe you might also want to chat about how you might be able to help with that, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great. Set it up. Yeah. Actually, one of the things I'm going to do tonight, speaking of cover designs and stuff, is I'm going to offer an opportunity for some people to get a free ebook cover design from me. I'll talk about that in a second too, but really kind of hitting on that design piece. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Sometimes it takes. I kind of consider myself like a graphic design hack. I don't design really fancy logos from scratch or anything like that too, but I can do a lot of cool stuff with bits and pieces that we put together. Look at Emily Waringa's piece, Canvas Child, that we just put out. helped design that cover, and it's not a super fancy one too, but it's one that can really kind of communicated the message. She had a piece of art that she wanted to use, and we kind of overlaid that onto an image of a canvas, basically, and put some of the text on there too, and kind of cool fonts and everything that we both really liked, and it worked out. As far as how to find good cover images, part of this I do quite a bit for just even my blog post, using Creative Commons images, on my blog that I find on Flickr. If I'm going to use an image, I want to use an image for like an ebook cover or something like that too. I definitely want to make sure that I have that person's permission. So I'll even go out and ask them and say, hey, I love your image. I'm producing an ebook. Would you mind if I used it as part of the cover design for my book? Give you a free copy, whatever it takes and stuff too. And a lot of times, what I've found with some of the pieces that I've done, people are just like, yeah, that's great. I'm honored that you would even use it there. That's fantastic. They get kind of excited about it. So definitely some ways that you can get some good images out there, probably for free. You can definitely go out and buy stock photos and things like that too as well, or you can take some of your own if it works and it's relevant. But one thing that's more important, I think, than just the images you use is really thinking of design from just a raw design perspective of what's really going to kind of support and communicate the idea of your book the best. That's why with Emily's Canvas Child one too, we wanted to use kind of a canvas piece as a kind of part of the cover, because it really kind of speaks to what it is when you're looking at the page on Amazon and stuff, because that's going to be one of the big pieces it's really going to sell. Cover design is something you gotta get right. You can't mess that up. You can't do it halfway. You've really got to try to do a good job on it. But with that, it's one of the things, like I said, that we do is I want to give away some.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened to Dan there. He just jumped off, but I know that one of the things that he was just going to talk about was he wants to give away a couple ebook cover designs, and so hopefully we can get him back on here shortly. There he comes.
Whoa.
You back? You're good?
Ooh.
All right. Well, I was just telling them that you want to give them things for free.
Yes. Yeah.
Exciting stuff. So
yeah, I don't know what happened to me there, but I'm awesome with this back. So
it's okay. Ninja skills. You're back. Ready for a happy deal? The internet just wasn't ready for the awesome. That's what happened. It was like, whoa.
I blew up the internet with the awesomeness here.
You broke the interwebs, dude. Broke it. Okay. Anyway, get back to your awesome news.
So free cover design. Yeah, and actually, I want to give away 3 of those tonight if I can. And essentially, what it's going to be and to do is I'm going to pop over and take a look at some of the other services and stuff that we offer. So let me screen share a little bit. But if you follow along on your own computer, you can actually click on the button that's above the chat pod, kind of underneath the little cool graphic. The button that says "Get Publishing Support Now." I'm gonna screen share and take a look at that myself here. So let me pop over there. Boom. Because I want to talk a little bit about what we do too, and how we can actually help you guys. There's a lot of ways. Cover design is one of them. I talked about. I kind of go through the page. We've got some reasons why. I get a great little testimonial here from Emily and stuff about her ebook and stuff. Emily's been fantastic. She's been a great partner to work with on this kind of stuff. But I talk about that process, analysis. We do things like ebook discovery and planning. I could definitely like jump on like a 1 hour kind of coaching session with you.
Hey Dan, your screen isn't sharing quite right. It just is a bunch of repeating images of me, which is cool, but I'm not quite sure what it is that you wanted to share, so maybe try that one again.
All right, let me try this again. Boom. Is that better?
Give it a second.
We got it? We got it?
Yeah, I think it's there. I just need mine to go away on my screen. I think we're good. Okay.
Awesome, awesome, cool. Uh, so yeah, and like I said, people could be looking at the same page too on their own if they get the publishing, click that get publishing support button as well. We'll open up in a new window so they won't get launched out of this session or anything. So yeah, so one of the things that we do that ebook discovery and planning that I talked about, the very upfront analysis. I'll do like a 1 hour, up to an hour kind of brainstorming session with you. Kind of talk out the ideas. We'll kind of scan your blog for some existing content, themes that might stand out. I'll do some of that keyword research and everything to help really kind of determine the feasibility of different themes and ideas. To kind of figure out what's going to be the best one, what's going to be the most marketable one that has the greatest chance of success for you and stuff as well too. Really kind of laying a good foundation. You have a great personalized ebook development strategy to really help you kind of begin your manuscript and launch into your plan. In that ADDIE process, the D for the design, some of the design things that we can do is we can do basic cover design. That's the kind of cover design where we're doing some of that kind of graphic design stuff in-house. Things like Emily Waringa's cover that we've done. Some others, if you go to the ebook design portfolio section of the website, we'll show you a couple of others that I've worked on. One of my own projects for Bible Dude, another even small business project, helped to develop an ebook for a roofer. So you kind of see that design stuff as well too. So we have some basic design, or we can do rock star cover design too, or we'll work with a kind of really hard time, big time, tried and true graphic designer who's going to do some from scratch development for us and everything too, and provide some options. I can also do interior design for PDF formats. That'll include things like make sure the front matter, the back matter is right stuff to make sure you get the right pieces in there. They also continue to market and build your audience. Header, footer design and stuff too, because on a PDF you can do things like with page layout that you can't really do in Kindle, because Kindle kind of runs the information a little bit differently. But we can make you a really nice looking PDF document that you can give away. So it's actually in this design section. It's that basic cover design that I'm looking at. That I want to give away 3 of those tonight. The way I'm going to give that away too is, even as I scan down some of this list, is really anybody who buys levels of service, up to including around about $200 plus the cover design piece. The first 3 that put their deposits down on it, I will actually give you a free basic cover design deal as part of that. So I'll knock that $149 off of whatever your total is. So so looking through too some of the other pieces, we do development stuff. We'll do some content editing. Having people look through your manuscript just to make sure it's like, hey, this even makes sense. Not worrying about grammar or anything like that yet, but we can do that. Prices on that will vary, really kind of depending on the size of the project that you're looking at. We do copy editing pieces as well too. I have editors that I work very closely with that can do that line by line grammatical check, make sure that punctuation is right, and the tense of your verbs is right, and all that fun stuff. And then even in the development phase too, look at things like Kindle formatting and publishing. So I can take your manuscript, and make sure that's formatted properly and upload it to Kindle and get it tested out on Kindle and stuff too. This even includes building in some of the keyword setup and things like that too in Amazon Kindle that we find out in kind of that analysis phase. And then from an implementation perspective, a few things that we do. I could build a basic customized launch and marketing plan for you, really kind of outlining all of the steps that you really kind of need to walk through. So I can deliver you a plan that's kind of set up for you and your book project that you can just kind of take and run with. But there are also pieces of that plan that we can do for you. Things like developing a custom author landing page for your website that really sets you up, and highlights your experience as an author or speaker, for that matter. I know a lot of writers like to speak about their topics and the things that they're passionate about as well too, and connect that to your writing projects. This is a page that's really focused on driving sales for your book projects and stuff. We've developed custom landing pages on your website for your books that are really not only is it kind of set up to highlight your book content and to sell it, hopefully, but also optimizing that page for SEO, for the keywords that we find back in that analysis phase. You kind of see filtering through this how important that analysis phase really is to a lot of the other pieces in getting projects successfully launched here. I could do the integration of your free download if you're doing the free PDF download for your subscribers into your MailChimp list and campaigns. Very similar to what I did for Emily in setting that up so that new subscribers are getting that download. Put the sidebar image in her sidebar, kind of highlighting this, hey, we're offering this for free. Send it out, create the campaign that goes out to your existing subscribers. Stuff like that too, the pieces that run kind of with your MailChimp email subscriber list, and get that pushed out. And there are a few other things and stuff that we can do too in there. We can help build your book launch team, work on your Amazon Author Central profile page, or any other kind of promotional activities and stuff. We can definitely set those up and arrange those and stuff like that too as well. Price for that really kind of depends on how much you need us to do. And then a big key piece as well too, at the end of this whole thing too, once you have a project out there, one of the things that I can say is that with the Unlikely Missionary, typically a lot of authors will tell you about a big spike in sales when a book first comes out, and then it tapers off and kind of tails off over the long run, and you see very minimal sales months later. Sales for the Unlikely Missionary have been a steady climb up for 2 years, and some of my best-selling months are just some of the most recent months that we've had because sales continue to climb. And it's part of it because I think the book marketing and book sales process doesn't really end. So one of the things we can do too is even take if you have a book or ebook or something like that out there too, I can take a look at those projects even. And kind of do a review on that and kind of revise a plan. It's like, all right, how do we continue to market this book and get it out there? So there's constant ongoing analysis even after the launch to help you kind of refine that plan and continue to improve the sales and stuff. One of the really exciting things too, if you kind of scroll down below what those packages are as well, is even talking about paying for this stuff. If you add up a few things on that list, it can actually get to be a pretty substantial price sometimes. A few $100s, even is a lot of times out of people's budgets. Typically, the way we work is, we'll do a kind of a 25% of whatever the initial estimate is, kind of a down payment up front, and then I've got a typo on this page, percent 75 upon completion. But I can do 25% down and do payment options, 25% down, 25% upon completion. And if one of my web hosting clients, I can spread the remaining 50% out over six monthly payments. If you're not one, so anybody else can take advantage of this, you spread it out over 3 months. So it kind of spreads out, and kind of reduces some of the financial burden. And also because publishing is typically a revenue generating kind of piece, I can do so that 25% down, 25% upon completion, and the other 50%, we can set up an arrangement where basically Fist Bump Media will kind of act as the publisher, and we'll split the royalties 50-50 until the balance is paid off. And as the publisher, I'm almost kind of investing a little bit more as well too. So there's typically a little bit more that I'll try to do to help kind of promote the book. So what we'll do too is after that remaining balance is paid off, I'll even drop my percentage of royalties to 25%, thereafter, as long as we continue to work and partner together on publishing that book. So a few different ways to really reduce the financial impact for that. If you're interested in any of these, there's a form at the bottom where you can select the items that you think you would need my help on, some contact information, selecting one of the options that you may be most interested in, and pursuing even as far as payment options and stuff is concerned. Send that to me. I will respond to those in the order that I get them. And like I said, the first three that put down the initial down payments on projects, stuff like too, I will take off the cost of cover design for that project. So awesome, cool.
That is awesome. And look at that list. People, other than writing the ebook, Dan does it all for you. So, he'll find your content, you get to write it, he makes it look awesome. It's the best of all worlds. So, I know that we're a little bit over time here. So, there are two little questions I wanted to throw at you quick before we wrapped up, and then if you have any closing little wrap-up stuff you want to do.
Sure.
And like I said, if we don't get to your question and you have more questions, you can pop over to the Facebook page. It's facebook.com/fistbumpmedia. You can come hang out with us there and ask questions, and Dan will get in touch with you. If you think of stuff afterwards, if you watch this video like 8 times and you're like, yeah, I had a question about that, why didn't I ask? You can just go ask us on the Facebook page. We love that. So there's 2 questions that actually kind of have to do with each other. So I'll ask this one first. It's, is there an average word count for how long an ebook should be? So when people are planning, maybe they're 31 days, they're like, all right, so I'm going to write 1,000 words a day. Is that enough if I do that for 31 days? Is that an ebook?
Yeah, and that's a great question too, and I'm glad somebody asked that, because I think one of the things that excites me most about the self-publishing ebook industry that's out there is really that it removes a lot of constraints from traditional publishing. And the example I love to use too is how many times have you read a book, a traditional 200-page book, which is usually right around about 60,000 words, and you go, oh man, the guy really made his point in the first 50 pages, but they've got to make the book 60,000 words, 200 pages or so, because that's kind of where they maximize their profitability margins and stuff from a whole big business perspective and mass publishing kind of thing. When you're thinking about publishing an ebook, one thing I'll say is that some of the best ebooks that I've ever read, if they were print versions of the book, would only be about 17 pages long. So the thing is they just really kind of laser focused on one key idea, talked about that really well, and left it at that. They didn't build it up to a certain number of word count or anything like that to fluff it up or anything like that. So that's the biggest advice I can give too is if you're thinking about self-publishing an ebook, don't even worry about word count. Publishers will worry about word count. Self-published ebooks, you don't need to worry about word count. Worry about communicating your idea really well. And whatever word count that works out to is what the right word count is.
I love that. That's awesome. That just frees up so much pressure to fit your story and your idea into a box. You can just write it. And I think this probably goes along with one of your first tips, was just look at your goals,
Yep.
Do you really want to just tell the story and choose self-publishing and build a platform and really talk about what you're passionate about, and I think if that is one of your goals, then I think that might be the way to go. So the other question, this is about self-publishing, and I had to clarify because I know that these 2 processes are totally different when it comes to the timeline. Somebody was asking how long the typical self-publishing process is, I guess, from discovery to actually having a product to offer.
Yeah, and that depends partially on how much content you've already got written. When I did the Unlikely Missionary, when I talk about that idea of leveraging content that you've already written on your blog, a lot of the foundation of this book is a series of blog posts, daily trip journals I did from my first mission trip to Africa, and but when I looked at that, I realized there was some other stuff that I needed to write around it too. So I wrote some original content that was never published on the blogs, kind of around some of those trip journals, and the trip journals kind of became the foundation of the storyline, but it wasn't the entire thing. I had a few write nights a week and stuff for not for a long time, a couple months or something like that too, and the entire project I think is, if I remember right, probably right around 20,000 words total or something like that. It depends on really how much you've gotten written already. you know, writing the manuscript piece aside, if you're writing 1,000 words in a sitting in a night or something like that too, and your target is around 20,000 words, you got to figure it's going to take you 20 nights to do it. Besides that, a lot of the other pieces, going through some of the editing, cover design stuff too that's going to go along with it, building your launch team and preparing for launch and kind of executing your marketing plan and stuff like that too. You're probably talking at least a couple of weeks, a few weeks or so to work a lot of those pieces out. And editing too is really going to depend then too on how big the edit is and how much feedback there is and stuff too that you want to kind of work through and stuff. So so there are a few things that are really just kind of very variable. But once you have a completed manuscript, you could probably look at you could push out an ebook probably within 2-3 weeks pretty quickly if you kind of go quick model on it and stuff. It depends on how much effort you want to put into a lot of the pieces of it. Good question.
Yeah, that was a great question. I was really excited to hear that. So definitely good ones tonight. I have learned a lot. I took a bunch of notes myself because this is a topic I was really excited to pick Dan's brain about. So we are just excited that you guys stuck it out with us and hung out. Thank you for hanging out a few extra minutes here. We don't like to go over an hour, but when we have that much awesomeness to learn, I think it's okay to spend a few extra minutes learning from an expert like Dan. So, Dan, I will pop back over to you if you want to wrap us up here. We can say goodnight to everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I was checking my phone and I was seeing a couple of emails coming in, so thanks, guys. I look forward to kind of getting back to some of y'all. Yeah, one of the big reasons we exist is so that you guys can focus on writing. That's what you do best, and I want you to be able to focus on that. And so if there's anything I can do to partner with you to help eliminate the technology, some of the other design elements, things like that too. That's exactly why I'm here, and that's exactly why I try to do these things. If I can help share thoughts and ideas and stuff to help you out, and you take it on your own, that's fantastic. But if I can come alongside you and help you work through these issues and stuff, and help you kind of power this through the finish line, that's exactly what I want to do. I'm here to help make dreams come true. Right? Does that sound too corny or something? I don't know. I'll let you guys play with that or whatever. But yeah, don't let anything hold you back. And one of the reasons I try to offer different payment plans and different options and kind of a la carte stuff like that too and everything is so that I can fit something into whatever works for you, even as far as payment is concerned. So don't let anything hold you back. Fear of the technology, the finances, any of that stuff too. If you have a goal that you want to try to accomplish when it comes to publishing and writing, let me know how I can come alongside you and help you out, and we'll figure everything out and figure out a way to make it work for you. So with that too, you guys rock. Thank you.
Awesome. Fist bumps.
Fist bump.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.